Good afternoon, everybody. Eric Foster, Vice President of Strategy and Research and Chief Lobbyist here at Banks and Company. I want to talk to you about information. Information is critical. It's important in not just how you function, but also how you communicate. I'll give you a good example. So, I was having a conversation with a client, and we were talking about the issues of poverty. And one of the things that I mentioned to them in that conversation was that in poverty, it's not just financial sometimes, it's also informational. Persons, be it children or adults, may live in an information vacuum, information that is in a way that can help them grow and achieve a higher position than where they are today. And so when we think of addressing the poverty issues, we shouldn't just think of the poverty issues based on economic and financial, but also informational, knowledge, and opportunity. In my household growing up, talking and seeing, not just within my immediate family, but within my uncles, my grandparents on my mother's and father's side, uncles of my mom and dad, my grandparents, brothers and sisters, and their kids, and then branching out in laws and other branches and great grandparents, kids, their offspring, and seeing all of these diverse segments of my family that have spread all around America. There was a way that we talked and information was communicated in the households. And so, based on that, there was a situation where it was like, okay, why did we have that sort of line of engagement and conversation and information flow versus in other households? And so, I say all that to say information is currency. It's currency that can help you better position yourself to achieve outcomes, to understand metrics, to level set for where you are on January 31st of a year and where you need to be by June 30th of the same year and where you want to be by January 31st of the next year. And also assessing where you were in January 31st of the preceding year. Information is critical, and not all have that. So, how does that tie into what we do at Banks and Company? So, from a governmental relations and lobbying vantage point, we approach engaging the elected or administrative officials as customers. They are people that we have to understand and break down who they are as individuals. So we do deep research to understand their buying profile and persona, their engagement on different topics that relate to things that we're trying to communicate with them, to understand how best to communicate with them and move them through the buying process. It's a model that we've developed over the years, first looking at it from the lens of voting, but then extending it to the lens of all other actions, because every action that we do when it comes to interaction with people, ideas, products, goods, and services is a purchase. And there's a rationality and a functionality to how you get to your purchasing decisions. And if you're trying to advance public policy, if you're trying to advance appropriations to fund something, if you're trying to advance administrative rules or executive orders to address an issue, you need the stakeholders who actually can implement what you want to buy what you're communicating to them. It's a product in a sense, but you also have to understand who they are and how to best engage and connect with them. That's information. Remember, I said information is currency. That's the first step. Then the second step of information is gaining out what you're asking for and how it fits within the statutory, appropriations, or regulatory environment. So here's what I mean. If you want a bill introduced that's going to create a new law, that bill does not sit in a house by itself. So it's not like you've got a massive land, and in that massive land, you're just going to build one house, and that house is going to be by itself. No matter how big it is, there's not going to be another house for a mile north, south, east, or west. It doesn't work like that. That bill that you want to turn into a new law is going to sit in the middle of a whole community with other houses, maybe some retail businesses, a major thoroughfare, some strip malls, some parks, etc., a couple schools, maybe an elementary and a high school and a middle school. That means that it's going to interact with other existing laws. So you need to understand how what you're proposing fits in that neighborhood. And you can't just understand it from the framework of bullet points of an idea. Your team, internally or externally, if you hire governmental relations and public policy or lobbying firms, needs to be able to understand how to write the bill in a way that fits into that neighborhood and also addresses any concerns because you may have some that are skeptical of that bill moving into that neighborhood and raise concerns based on a myriad of things, either constitutional or statutory or judicial precedent, etc. You need to go in prepared not only with your draft bill, but with your analysis of how it fits in the neighborhood, if there's any cost to it fitting in the neighborhood, and address any of the environmental considerations so that you make sure that it can fit in the neighborhood nicely with the other neighbor bills that is going to be sitting by, next to, across the street from, or the like. That's information, that's currency. When you sit in this seat as a governmental relations professional, the ability to actually go in and work with the legislators or the executive branch members or the department agency representatives, the regulatory bodies, and be able to talk in their world, but also come with details, come with a bill, come with background, briefing notes, fiscal notes, other analysis points. It makes their life a whole lot easier. And if you want to achieve an outcome, making the outcome as easy and clean of a path to get there is the best way. That's currency. Information is currency. Now, why is that important, especially if you're a firm like Banks and Company, which is a smaller firm in this governmental and public affairs universe that we sit within, because we don't have resources to, like some of our bigger colleagues, make contributions and other things, all which are appropriate, but also have sway in the conversation. Our currency that brings us to the table is information. Being able to take policy and put it in ways that we can communicate it effectively, that we can help people see how they can, if they're supportive of it, how they can make it work, working with their staff and the Legislative Services Bureau, depending upon the state, what name it might have, and the fiscal agency staff or the people in the agency that may look at administrative procedures or administrative rules, and being able to be that conduit, that partner. That's our currency. We've done a lot of work over the years in ordinance development, working with municipalities because of clients that we've had in the cannabis space. And so, in working with those clients, with communities here in Michigan, Michigan is on the cannabis side, is a uncapped local control dual market. There's no statewide cap in terms of the number of licenses that are available, but local control determines if local municipalities will opt in to allow licenses to be approved in their community. And dual market means not just adult use and medical, but also that your license approval is state and municipal. So there's duality. So you have to get entities to be willing to adopt an enabling ordinance to let you in. So, to that particular point, we have to work with the municipal stakeholders, be it the legal department, planning, mayor, city manager, city council, board of trustees, superintendent, if it's a village or a township, whatever the structure is, it requires a lot of working with those officials, both elected and non elected, to help craft what needs to happen. Our approach is information. Make their life easy. If we want to achieve a mutual outcome, let's partner and make their life easy. Our clients want to achieve a goal. They have constituents they have to answer to. Let's do this in a partner collaborative way. And let's use information as the currency and the foundation of a good partnership relationship to achieve positive governmental relation outcomes. Now, I know this is long winded, and I know I've been told that as we're in this visual age, long windedness is not what gets people moving. But I do think it's important in telling the story of how we approach things here at Banks and Company, that approach includes the fact that we use information, both researching who we're dealing with to researching how our governmental ask fits into the neighborhood that it's going to sit within, because it's the same thing for administrative rules and it's the same thing for appropriations. None of that sits in isolation, and that collaborative working together with all of the different stakeholders on behalf of our company, on behalf of our client, information is the key glue that ties it all together. If you really want good outcomes and you really want to see value for your investment when you're looking to hire someone to work with you and work on your behalf, look to us at Banks and Company. We have experience working in a number of sectors, from working with and in the cannabis industry on the governmental relations side, in education in the governmental relations side, senior citizen related issues, health, both public health and health insurance. Also have worked in energy, both clean energy and traditional O&G energy. We've done some work in the insurance sector. We've done work in governmental operations, labor. So we've been blessed to work with a number of clients over the years in a wide range of different industry sectors. But our approach, be it collectively or even in predecessor firms that I was a part of or that Lloyd was a part of, we've always taken the same sort of approach. Information is the glue. Without information, you're making up things, you're guessing, you're hoping, you're throwing things at a wall, you're putting things into bullet points, hoping that someone will just take it and run with it. That dog don't hunt. And going back to an earlier video I made, that leaves you at the stove in the kitchen waiting to get fed some pancakes. That is not how you get an outcome. The best way you get an outcome is what we believe is the approach that we have perfected and mastered here, with information as the key flowing tool that fits across all segments. So, if you're interested in learning more, please email me at eric@bankscompany.us, BANKS company, as you can see on the graphic behind me, or visit us at www.bankscompany.us, or check us out in our different social media platforms and pages on LinkedIn and Facebook, Threads, as well as on Instagram and the like. But we're here. We look forward to working with you. And remember, at the end of the day, it's not about even how much money you may have, it's about the information and how you use information effectively that can help you change your outcome and change your future. So, thank you.